Welcome to the Empowered Team Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that I'm in a log cabin. I am on a lake. There's water all around me. I'm in the coolest spot. But when you're in a cabin and you change your routine and you might have to light a fire when it's really cold in the morning, your morning routine changes. So I don't know about you, but if my morning environment changes, sometimes that affects my morning routine. So today I'm going to share with you my 5 non-negotiables. Why? So that I can have the energy and focus to go forward in the day with clarity, with purpose, and of course, like I said, with energy and focus. So let's get started so that you can use some of these or at least understand why you might want to try one of them. And if you don't, no worries, but figure out your own routine that gives you the best energy and focus. Let's get started. I remember years ago when I was in my 20s, I was always a slave to my alarm clock. So if I worked late, then I might sleep in and have to wake up at a certain time in the morning for my next job or my next thing that I was going to do. But I always felt like the alarm clock was the bane of my existence. I hated the sound of it. I felt so crappy every time I woke up. I did not like the experience. And I had no idea at the time that it was because I was going to bed at different times. I was waking up at different times. I didn't have the kind of nutrition or support from my body to allow myself to feel the best. I didn't have a circadian rhythm that was working for functioning optimally. And as you know, I've developed my whole career around optimizing performance for high performance athletes, where physically it really matters how they feel and what they're able to do, or for high performing people in business or life where they're overachievers or they're high achievers and they really want to feel their best and perform their best. So if that's you, let's go, because it really, really makes a difference to have your own morning routine. Now, when I say morning routine, I know you have a morning routine. The question is, what is your morning routine? So if your morning routine is like mine was, where you get jarred awake by the alarm clock, you press snooze at least 3 times, and then you've got such an incredible pressure rush to get going or make the next thing that you're supposed to be at, that you're frantically running around, stuffing something. I used to have, what was it called? It was like some crisp crunch kind of cereal. It had some bit of fiber in it, but was super sweet. I'd love the cereal in the morning, pop my way out the door, and away I went. But that point of the day would be jacked by adrenaline because I felt so behind, but seeping with exhaustion because I'd pressed snooze 5 times. And the research shows that snooze alone messes up your sleep cycle. That the circadian rhythm of not getting up or going to bed roughly around the same time messes up your circadian rhythm. If your circadian rhythm is messed up, those are my technical terms, messed up, if that's the case, then there's no way you're going to perform optimally. So it's so funny to me when I speak to people who want to perform better, they want optimal performance, and yet these little things they may not be paying attention to. And that was me. That was exactly me. Because why? I didn't know any better. And I was just going with whatever I thought was needed at the time. And what was needed is getting my butt out of bed. An alarm clock was needed for that. Let's flash forward to now. I can guarantee that I could, I don't, but I could go through waking up every morning with no alarm clock. I wake up before my alarm clock. I wake up 9 out of 10 times with the energy to start my day without feeling like I really have to drag myself out of bed. The alarm that I set is a calming music, peaceful thing that goes off. Now, some of you hear this and they're like, I would sleep right through this. The reason that you sleep right through it is because there's not enough sleep in your life. The reason that you sleep right through it is because you're not waking up at the same time or going to bed roughly around the same time. That's usually the case because I was the exact same way. I had a blaring meh, 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 that kind of thing waking me up. And now I've got this peaceful, beautiful music that could lull somebody to sleep because I don't want my nervous system jarred first thing in the morning. And if I happen to be dozing or kind of in and out of sleep before the alarm goes off, I don't want to be jarred awake. I want to be waking on my own body's pace. I realize when I'm saying this out loud that if I was hearing this 2 decades ago or even 15 years ago, that I'd be like, yeah, okay, get me an alarm that works. Get me an alarm that I can hear, so I'm going to get my butt out of bed. And if I have to press snooze a couple times, great. The reason I'm sharing this with you is not because I think you're supposed to do this or you should do this. It's because it feels so much better to head into the day feeling focused, feeling clear, feeling purposeful, feeling energetic. It feels so freaking good. All right, so let's go. This is number 1, and I'm going to go in order here because the sequence matters to me, because if one thing doesn't happen, it typically doesn't cue the next. It's a domino effect. And when you stack your habits in dominoes, then it's really, you're creating a greater likelihood for the next habit to happen. So that's part of what happens. And there's a few in between here that I'm not sharing. I'm just sharing the ones that I think will be most impactful for you and also have been massively impactful for me. So number 1, I have 2 cups of water first thing in the morning. Now I start drinking it about the first cup when I first wake up. So I've gotten out of bed. The water is next to my bed. It's room temperature. It's been sitting there all night. Maybe it's still a full 2 cups, but if for some reason I was thirsty in the night, maybe there's half a cup gone. But 2 cups are sitting next to my bed. The first cup goes down. It's in 1 glass, but I know how much is in there. It's 2 cups. So half of that glass I drink right as I'm getting out of bed. Unless I have to pee urgently, that water's going in me first. Why? Because I've been laying in bed for probably 8 hours, and I may not have drinking anything for 9 or 10 hours. Essentially, it's like being in a coma and you haven't had any fluids. You don't have any sort of intravenous main line to hydrate you. So the first thing I'm doing is giving my cells, giving my vessels the liquid, the hydration that's needed to help my heart, to help my lymph system, to help everything in my body. If you are dehydrated, I want you to think of your blood as being thicker, because it is. That means if your blood is thicker because you don't have as much water in your body, then your heart has to beat more to pump that blood. You literally are working harder just to have your basic systems happen when you're dehydrated. And I promise you, first thing in the morning, you're dehydrated because you've gone without any fluids. You've been in a coma for, 6 to 8 hours, and you probably haven't drinking for 10 hours, maybe 9 hours. So that is the point. That first cup goes in me immediately. And then I'm going to get dressed and do my things. But that first non-negotiable is that first part of my water. The next part of my water happens in the next hour of when I'm doing things. So I'm usually up by 6 a.m., sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later. But that is when I'm heading into the next steps. So this next one is really interesting because I could never have predicted how important it would be for my brain function, my circadian rhythm, and for my overall energy. And what it is being outdoors in natural daylight for about 10 minutes before I start my workout, before I start the rest of my day. So 10 minutes, I want to see the sunrise rays or how much daylight there is at that time, because it changes greatly throughout the seasons. Sometimes at that time of day, I'm outside and I'm looking at the moon because the sun hasn't risen yet at 6 in the morning or 6:45 in the morning, whatever time I get out there. But for 10 minutes, I want to be exposed to, ideally, the morning sunrise rays, and potentially, it might be a little dark, but I'm getting outside, I'm getting fresh air, and I literally greet my day. I know it sounds unusual, perhaps, but I say hello to the day because I want to start my day with some level of acknowledgement that I am lucky to have this day. I'm lucky to face a new day, whether I'm looking forward to things or apprehensive about things that are coming up in that day. I still get to have that day. So I say hello to the day. I might say hello to the sun. I'm practicing. The reason I'm doing that, not because I expect the sun to wink back at me, but I'm practicing a level of gratitude for the fact that I get another day. Now, I might say some affirmations, but the point is that I'm outdoors for 10 minutes. Now, here's where I might get a setback. The setback looks like this. I'm on a plane at that time. Then I'm not necessarily outside first thing. Or maybe I was traveling to catch a flight. Or I'm on location going to an event, and I don't have the right outdoor clothes and it's pouring rain. That would be a scenario where I might miss it. So there are very few exceptions to the rule. And a place like I am right now, where I've changed my routine, I'm in a cabin, I don't have my normal household environment, this tests my non-negotiables. It really tests them. But this is one of the most easy places for me to have this particular step in my non-negotiables because I want to see the lake. I want to see the sun coming up over the trees onto the lake. It's reflecting. It's gorgeous. The air is so crisp and fresh. It is absolutely breathtaking. So it is a place like this that really anchors this particular habit, this ritual, this non-negotiable, and reminds me that it may not be the prettiest sunrise other places. It may not be this perfect, gorgeous lake morning, but it doesn't matter because it still anchors it for what I get from it. Because what I get from it is the peace of mind of the joy and the great gratitude I have for having my day, but also knowing that those rays of sunlight have gone into my brain, because the only exposed part of our brain is our eyeballs. And as soon as we get those rays of light, then we are starting the process of telling our brain that this is the time to wake up. This is the time to start a certain hormonal sequence that kicks off our morning with energy. This also is 10 minutes that contributes to me being able to fall asleep later in the day because I've served my own circadian rhythm. Now, don't get into the thinking that, oh, I'm getting some vitamin D in that sunlight. No, I'm using those rays specifically for my energy, for my hormones, for my circadian rhythm, for my intentionality around how I want to welcome my day. But the vitamin D is going to come a little later, especially in the Northern Hemisphere. You're going to get those rays later in the day, in the mid part of the day. You're not going to get a vitamin D effect from those morning 10 minutes. Do I want that? Yes. And that means I might go outside and ideally eat lunch outside in the sunlight for 10 or 20 minutes. But those mornings time when I'm outdoors, it's not for vitamin D, even though I want those rays later in the day for vitamin D. All right. So that is number 2, outside for at least 10 minutes in the rain, in the snow. I do it as much as I can. I would say 90% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, I am able to complete that without any barriers to it. Ideally as well, I'm walking my dog. I couple that up with a dog walk. So when I talked about habit stacking, sometimes you can habit stack in the sense of not having one sequence to the next, but having 2 at one time, which is awesome. Even better, having somebody with you, you get that social morning effect. I personally like a little quiet time for myself first thing in the morning. My dog is allowed in there though. All right, habit number 3. some form of movement. Now, I typically am doing a workout Monday through Saturday, actually. So I'm doing some sort of workout. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm usually doing some sort of strength work or lifting along with movement prep, so mobility work. Tuesday, I'm usually doing a run of interval of some sort. Thursday, I'm usually walking. And Saturday, I'm usually running. And Sunday, I'm usually walking. That's happening first thing in the morning. I used to do workouts at mid-morning. I've done them mid-afternoon. I've done them after work. I've done them in the evening. I've done workouts at all sorts of times in my life. However, what works best for me and most humans, when they're on a circadian rhythm that goes with the daylight, they're not on shift work, what works for me best is first thing in the morning. I learned a long time ago that if I don't get a workout in, I don't have the same executive functioning as I would without that workout. Meaning, I can't tap into the optimal focus and creativity and decision making that I want to when I haven't physically moved. That's just me and my brain and my body. I feel like I will combust. I feel like there's too much energy building up if I don't have a workout first thing in the morning. Now, not everybody feels like that. Not everybody has a brain like I do or a body that really feels like that energy output needs to be there. Regardless, the research shows that working out in the morning typically kicks off the day in a way that you have taught your brain and has given your body what it needs to keep doing the rest of the things that you want to do. Your brain learns that you've already done something that's relatively tough, and everything else becomes a cakewalk. Your body starts to learn that it's a priority. Your body is beginning the sequence of events, like I said, hormonally with the daylight and the circadian rhythm that supports its functioning for the rest of the day and supports you being able to sleep well later at night. It doesn't mean don't work out in the afternoon. It just means that this is one of the things that is my morning sequence. It works for me. Some people find that they want to read first thing in the morning. For me, if I did that, it doesn't, I'd feel like I was going to combust. It's not a great time for me to read. If it was lunchtime, if it was before bed, then I could read. It would be a great thing for my brain. But first thing in the morning, it's my time to move, my time to work out. So it could look like just a walk. It could look like just the movement prep. Either way, it's movement. I am getting movement in, and I usually have about 5,000 steps before noon because I've moved around enough in the morning between my meetings, during my meetings, and in my workout that I've been active all morning, and that feels the best for me. That is number 3. Number 4, non-negotiable, food. Food. Now, by this time, if I'm into that workout, I've drinking the rest of that water. That water is down. I've gotten all those 2 cups in. Now I'm probably on to my 3rd cup or maybe even some non-caffeinated tea, and fluids are coming into me. So number 4 is breakfast. If I'm in a space where my body is running pretty hot, meaning my metabolism is really high, I might eat before I move, but most of the time I eat right after my workout. So often it's mixed berries. It might be blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and I'll mix those together often with some coconut milk. I might make a smoothie with banana and greens and collagen and all kinds of great things. I might have some nuts. I might have some beef jerky. That's usually what I'm eating for breakfast. It used to be eggs, but eggs are not back into my repertoire quite yet. I want this food because it's going to replenish whatever workout movement that I did. It's going to give my body some calories after it's been starving for the last 12 hours. So I probably haven't eaten for anywhere between 10 and 12 hours. And that's where the food is going to serve my recovery from my workout the best. and it's going to give me the energy that I want for the day and allow my brain to focus. Remember, your brain is a very, very energy intensive organ. It is taking up 20% of your energy. It is highly, highly hungry. So I want to give it what it needs. And it's post-workout for the majority of the time. I like to have protein in there as well, but usually right now, instead of from the eggs, my protein is coming from some nuts, some beef jerky, and often some sort of collagen supplement as well that has protein in it. Habit number 5, so my 5th non-negotiable is supplements. I have some supplements every single morning. Now, some people are not going to be, they want to get all their supplements or all of their nutrient quality from food. I will supplement. I've learned that I tend to eat a lot of the same foods and I need more variety that will come from a supplementation. I've also learned over time that our food quality, the nutrient density in our foods is not what it was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Now our nutrient quality is lower. It's just not the same as it once was because of our topsoil being depleted, because of mass farming, because of a lot of different reasons. However, we have amazing possibilities with supplements that we can use, and the age that I'm at and the gender that I'm at, I want to give my body what it needs. So I'm going to supplement with some fish oil. I'm going to supplement with some collagen, some creatine. Often, if I'm making a smoothie, I'll have some greens, but some high quality greens. I don't want something that says proprietary blend and I don't know what's in it. I want to know exactly what's in it. I will also supplement with a multivitamin, vitamin D. I'll do a DK stack. Sometimes the two together is an excellent combination. And sometimes a probiotic. Hey, great supplements, but that is number 5. I want the nutritional gaps to be filled. I don't want my body wanting for anything. Now, if your gut is not healthy, it's not going to absorb that. I learned that the hard way, and in getting an autoimmune disease, it's one of the things I learned. Despite eating and having the greatest intake possible, if I wasn't absorbing it, I couldn't get those nutrients. So having a healthy gut is critical. And now that I do have that, it makes a huge difference. So creatine, multivitamin, vitamin D. If my nervous system is running high, I might take a ashwagandha to reduce cortisol, or I might take a magnesium closer to bed to help us sleep. But that would be later in the day. That's not my morning non-negotiable. So these things are all happening. Everything that I've described is all happening before 8 a.m. So the 2 cups of water, outside for at least 10 minutes, seeing the morning sun rays, breakfast or movement, so my workout, breakfast, and supplements. Those things are happening no matter where I am, no matter if I'm in a different country, no matter if I'm presenting a different time zone, I'm on a lake. They don't disappear. They don't change. They don't change in order. They don't change in existence. I will do everything I can to have those things, even on holiday, because then I feel the best for my holiday. Then I'm the most relaxed for the rest of the day. I feel really good in my body and my brain is functioning optimally in the way I want it to. So that is my wish for you, is to have that same feeling, that feeling of energy, that feeling of focus, that feeling of optimizing your own performance so that you can be and do and give exactly what you want to the world. Why? Because that's your personal power. That's you living into your purpose. And that is my wish for you. So find your own best routine. That's 5 of mine. And I've got a number of other things that happen in the morning as well. But these are 5 that are non-negotiable before 8 a.m. and they contribute massively to my energy. Now, notice I didn't say coffee. Notice I didn't say sleeping in. Those just don't work for my optimal performance and my optimal energy. Those are what work for me. So find what works for you. Try on one or two things. See what works for you the best, that works so well that you would still do it if you were traveling. You would still do it if you were on holiday. Try it on. See what really works for you. It's so worth it. All right, you are empowered. You take care of yourself. You take care of others. You take action, and you are up to something larger than yourself. So share this. If you're up to something larger than yourself, share this with someone who might use a morning routine to optimize their empowered life. Have a great rest of your day and have a wonderful week.